So today I want to show you guys something a little different. If you're looking at this and you're wondering where I'm at, I'm actually in the home environment. And all I've done is, after I loaded up the Quest 2 and jumped into the home environment, I physically walked away from it and came out here just to kind of see what it looks like from outside of the programmed space. So you can actually see the environment. You can see the home. The walls tend to disappear once you're on the outside, and then you can kind of see all the stuff that they made and didn't make, I would say. Like those dark spaces there are just nothing, because they don't expect you to see that from the home environment. You're not really meant to walk out, but I wanted just to see kind of what it looks like. Now, I'm still impressed by those trees that they actually animated, whereas everything back there, again, it's kind of like wallpaper. But I kind of feel like it's a bit of a shame, because there's stuff here that would be really cool if you could just interact with. Maybe have some teleporting points so that you can just jump there without having to physically walk, and kind of see a little bit more of this environment, because it is quite pretty. But anyways, I'm gonna try and show you the different environments. So right now we are in the studio. Let's go in order. So let's go to the classic home real quick, and it's gonna save my location within each home environment, which again is outside of the actual programmed space that you're normally supposed to be able to walk through. So I'm not going to teleport over there because it's a pain in the neck to walk back. But those would be, that center area over there would be normally where you're at. And here, we're kind of just in this weird, almost outside space. For at least this environment, I didn't walk far enough to actually get out. Now the space station has me outside of the actual space station, so you can see how they drew the planet, and it kind of just ends. It almost looks like that whole flat Earth idea, which I think is hilarious. And then you can see that the walls again disappear from this point of view, and you kind of see just how much they actually animated. And I think at some point those spaceships kind of just disappear once they get out of view, or at least the view that you would normally see from inside the environment. Or maybe they just go in a circular pattern. That looks like that's what they do. Huh. But they did such a nice job. Now, let's quickly see I can never pronounce that, but that's the whole Japanese village. And again, we're outside the space, and you can kind of see that there's nothing animated underneath, because usually, I guess, they expect, because that would be a wall that you can't see through unless you physically walk through it. They pretty much spent all their time animated the parts that's that way, that's towards the front. So even if I were to have walked that way, you would have seen more of the village. But directly underneath, since they don't expect anyone to see it, it's just nothing. And all of this is just nothing. Only the things they expect you to really look at from inside of the space of the home environment. but it's interesting. Winter Lodge. Again, the walls kind of disappear. You see it from this angle. Then you can see kind of where everything ends. Now the Desert Terrace is actually where I had walked out from, because I was trying to make it to this footbridge. Now I'm in a seating position right now, or seated position. So I'm kind of just leaning over to see. I was trying to make it from that area, the home space, to this bridge, but as you can see, it kind of doesn't go anywhere. And what's even more interesting is that this is like a boulder, so if I look up and over, you can kind of see the actual home environment back there. But once you start walking towards this area, you kind of see this empty cavity underneath this boulder, which I think is kind of cool. And again, what's underneath here is not, they don't draw anything, but you can kind of see that they set up the grass over there. Some of that looks like it might actually be a real photo of a real place, and then they just animate some other stuff around it. But yeah, this is kind of how it is. Again, it would have been nice to actually be able to get onto this bridge and maybe teleport your way up and have a whole nother area up there. Maybe they'll do that later, maybe they won't. Again, this is just supposed to be like a main menu, home screen type of situation. And that's definitely photo. All of that has got to be like an actual photo of something, whereas the bridge obviously is animated. Huh. Somehow I managed to move onto the bridge without realizing it. It drifted. I have not moved at all, and somehow I've moved in-game, or in the quest. That's interesting. I'm gonna check this one out just because this is the new one that they made. I'm not too fond of it because it's just this stuff. It's just crazy colors. The home environment is actually over there, but it's just, as the name says, abstract. It is so not realistic, or at least not based in reality, that it doesn't do anything for me. There's nothing recognizable there. It's pretty, with all the colors, but I don't really care for it. Alright. We already did the studio. Let's do the mountain study. Now, why am I getting like Disney vibes, like old movie Disney vibes from this? Like live action. I don't know. They even have a little bit of snow up on that mountain. Now this doesn't, I don't think this is photo at all. I think this is just painted on, all of this. I could be wrong. It could just be a really blurry photo. But the detail, with the snow up on the top. And again, that would be the actual home environment. So the walls disappear once you're on the outside. Notice that underneath is just empty, because why should they animate anything underneath that if you're not going to be able to look through the floor? But again, there's a few spots here that would have been nice to have actual like waypoints that you could jump on to look around. Alright, let's go to bubbles. Is just bubbles, don't matter. Crystal Atrium. So this one is really Yeah, from this perspective, there's nothing here. It's all black. And then you have the crystals there. The home environment is that way somewhere. There's not much here. Actually, I think the home environment is right behind this mass of crystals, where you're actually able to jump from one point to another. The Cyber City is interesting. Again, there's the home environment. You see the buildings. Everything back there is just nothing. But you can see the flying cars are just going right through a building, because from that perspective, you're not seeing anything past here. So it doesn't matter if they have them kind of just disappearing into the building and also re-emerging from it. Now, let's see. And that roadway, I'm assuming that's a roadway, or if that's just supposed to be a building, is not even finished. Let's see what else we have. Quest Dome. Okay. So this is a little bit more trippy, because you're just floating in the sky. Notice the domes that you would look at are actually resting on a platform on the ground, but the one that you're actually in, which again the walls disappear once you're on the outside, it's just floating in space. Now there's something weird that I noticed about this home environment. You notice that there's I think that's like a bunch of shelves and furniture that's over there, but there's a space behind it, and I'm not sure what that's supposed to be, if that was meant to kind of be like the entrance or the exit, because there's no visible entrance to this, whereas the other domes kind of have what looks like a little entrance to go in. I might just be overthinking it. Polar Village, which is actually one of my favorites. And again, from this perspective, you kind of can see where things just disappear. There's nothing underneath there. That main little square area is where you would normally be, and you're not actually able to make it onto this bridge. Previously I walked all the way into that pavilion over there, which surprisingly they actually did animate quite a bit of it, and on the other side of this it's pretty animated, or full. If you go through that entrance, there's not much there. I hope in the future, when they do add more detail and more places that you can jump to in here, that they do this one, and that they allow you to go further back, and that they animate more in the back, because this is something that I would genuinely sit for, I would say like an hour or two, just to look at every little detail and explore and move through it, if that were possible. Now the Lord of the Rings is also pretty impressive, because although a lot of stuff disappears, as you can see there, and there's nothing back there, but they did go out of their way to animate a lot of stuff in the distance. And yet this is another one that I would love for them to completely redo, so that you could in fact get onto that bridge, get down there, you know, kind of explore it. I would not mind a game where that's all it was, where it was just, this is the large open space that you can just explore, because I want to know what's in there. I know there's nothing, but I would like to know, I would like to be able to explore and see something down there. I would like to go as far as those bridges down there. Maybe have something interactive that you can, you know, play with. And now my other favorite, which it's not, what's going on? Did I break it? Did I break the game? Oh, that's why. That's another thing I noticed. Sometimes when one when one controller is being considered like dominant, the other one doesn't seem to want to work. Little things. Now, I said this is my favorite. Pretty much where those swings are, that area is where you would be pretty much isolated to. So notice this part is not really rendered. They didn't animate anything here. They didn't put anything in. And then notice how the trees actually are set up. Notice how this rock formation is set up. It's just a floating picture. Same with the trees and even that little bit of bushes over there. But the distance, you know, those little islands, that's pretty cool. That's, you know, that looks more fleshed out. I never noticed this before, but the clouds move. That's, again, I spend more time, I think, in these environments just sitting here doing nothing than I actually do playing games. And I'm sure once the novelty of this wears off and I get bored, I'll start focusing more on games. But for now, I'm still just impressed by all of this. But yeah, I just wanted to show that or share that with you. What it looks like if you actually walk outside of the where they expect you to stay anyway. And that's what it looks like. So if you enjoyed this, if you thought it was fun, you know, hit like, maybe subscribe if you want to see more of this, comment if you want to see more of this stuff, that way I know. And I guess I'll see you in the next one. Until then, take care.